Hello and welcome to another episode of the What is Good podcast. My name is Jason Delgado. What is good? How is everyone doing? How's everyone's week? How's everyone feeling? I had a good weekend. It was very, very fun. I would say Sunday night, though, did set me off a little bit. Can't lie. We'll get into it. Anyway, welcome to the What is Good podcast. We're going to get into all types of topics, but we're going to start with Sunday night. Sunday night's BAFTA Awards. For those who don't know, the BAFTA Awards are kind of like the British Oscars. And, you know, it's a big ceremony, lots of stars. It's a good sort of precursor to what they think is going to happen in the Oscars. Fun stuff. So you'd think. And here's the thing. So you'd think also because like the Brits are so kind of, I don't know, they got their stuff together. They're proper. They understand etiquette. They understand tone. There's a certain element. Like that's why these shows like this new Game of Thrones show and a lot of these like high-end shows are British shows or have British actors. They just understand drama and they understand that sort of, I don't know, etiquette and way of doing things in a certain way that I think comes across as a little coarse or a little overdone sometimes in the American style where like, you know, for some reason, like, you know, all these manly men that you see at all these shows, they're all British guys or Australians. You know what I mean? Like they emote that sort of classic masculinity, I think, better than a lot of American actors. But, you know, Timothée Chalamet aside or whatever. But in any case, I thought the BAFTAs would be a very, very nice, fun, well put together show where they can honor the stars and I can kind of see what was what and who was going to be up for things in awards season. And my goodness. So this one thing that I'm talking about, for those who don't know, is there's a movie which I hadn't heard of, which was nominated for an Oscar regarding, or for a BAFTA in this case, about a person with Tourette syndrome. So it was nominated, I think, for Best Picture and also Best Actor. And it was based on a true story about a guy with Tourette syndrome, which if you don't know, it's when you can kind of spontaneously like say stuff that's very blatant or sometimes cursing or sometimes very, you know, uncool. Let's say stuff that wouldn't be appropriate to say. You just say it out loud randomly because something's wrong with your brain, right? So this movie is based on a real guy. They decide to bring the real guy with Tourette syndrome to the BAFTAs to watch whatever may happen with this movie. The first thing that happens is that the guy starts yelling, F this, F that, at the beginning of the show. They keep him there. They keep him there with the Tourette's. All of a sudden, at one point, Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo are at the stage presenting something. And this dude drops multiple N-words, bro. N-word, N-word, effing N-word. And these dudes just got to stand there. I mean, these are like acclaimed actors, esteemed actors. And they're making him stand there and eat this. And it's a white guy. And it's behind this sort of paywall of he has Tourette's, so you got to let it go. Hot take, I'm not down with that, bro. I'm not down with that. First off, the BAFTAs are on a 4-hour delay. 4 hour. So they could have easily stopped that from being shown. At one point, I guess somebody did like a Free Palestine thing, and they beeped that out because they had that delay time. And they're going to let that dude N-word drop them in public and not censor it or not buffer that. And then not really even apologize for it. It's a bad, bad look. And then there's apparently stuff with like racism in the past. Look, I'm not trying to be on one of these, soapboxes talking about racism is bad. We all know that stuff. But this is a really just rude, insensitive way to treat people. Making them eat crow in front of an audience, already in kind of an awkward situation with African Americans kind of in front of a British audience. Making them do that, then airing it when you could have stopped it. Then not really apologizing and not getting him out when he started doing that. When he started doing that, you could have got him out. Or put him in a place where he can't do it. Put him in the way back. I don't like it, man. I don't like it. It really rubbed me wrong. And I ain't even about all that like end racism, wear a banner kind of stuff. Whatever, man. I've dealt with it. We've all dealt with it. I know how life works. Boppity boppity. But this is rude. This is wrong. Shame on the BAFTAs, man. Brits are supposed to be better, man. The Brits are supposed to be better than that. Really, really bothered me, dude. I really didn't like it. So we got to let that go because this is the What is Good podcast. And we got to focus on what is good. But learning experience. Got to learn to do better, if anything we can derive from that. And the class of Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo cannot be overstated. Unbelievable. But we got to get to good stuff. And what is good is gold medals. 2 of them. One for women's hockey, one for men's hockey. Amazing stuff. Blessings to both teams. Congratulations. Huge congratulations to the men's hockey team, specifically just for beating Canada and getting over that hump. I guess that was an arch rival that had beat them 3 years in a row. Yada, yada. And they finally beat them. Amazing stuff. I am so happy and grateful that I got to see it. I was up early enough as I am an early bird. It was an overtime victory. Oh, one particular moment, a save that happened. It was just something out of a movie. It was just like a miracle angels in the outfield style save where this dude from Canada had a wide open net. And the goalie for America just did a move, just sticked it back and pulled it and hit a little chip of it and got it. Blocked it. Amazing. Amazing. I said, hang it in the Louvre, as the kids say, because the shot of it is amazing. Just an incredible game. The guy who won it, like they chipped his tooth earlier in the game or like earlier in the series. No, I think it was earlier in the game. They chipped his tooth with a high stick and he had a broken tooth. And then he went back in the game and won the game. Let's go. Go America. It was amazing. I felt very, very good, very, very proud. Funny little side note story about the gold medal hockey game. I guess the Canadian goalie did an interview and said that the night before they were homesick for Canada. And so they ordered Indian food and he got food poisoning. And that's why they lost. Whatever excuse they need, many, many blessings. Great story, though. Blame it on the Indian food. That's what I would do. Why eating Indian food night before? You know what I mean? Indian's delicious, but it's kind of like a 60-40 a lot of times with Indian food. You never know, especially a strange foreign country Indian food in Italy. Bro, do better. In any case, go USA. Awesome job. Very, very happy. Another crazy story that's going on that I've been paying attention to because you can't help it. I'm right here is this Mexico at war situation. So I guess America went in, killed some cartel leader, and now Mexico is pissed and they're just going after tourists in Mexico. They're burning down shops. They're telling tourists to stay in. If they find them in the street, they're going to capture them or gun them down. Crazy shit. And these guys, dude, they look like Metal Gear Solid. They look like the bad guys at Metal Gear Solid. They're geared up, man. They got like goggles, black masks. They got like those like grenade launcher grenades all over here. They're all dressed with like vests and armor, machine guns, side pistols. Dude, they're ready. Trucks full of them. I mean, look, the thing is, don't be messing with USA. They'll just carpet bomb your whole thing, unfortunately. But dude, they're going crazy out there in Mexico. The what is good aspect of this, which is a crazy part of this Mexico war shit, is that the guy who killed this cartel leader, or the guy who ordered and okayed the execution of this guy, was, I think his name's like Omar something. Omar, do I have it written down? Omar Harfouch, I think. Omar Harfouch, I'm probably butchering that. But this dude, Omar, was part of a team of legislators in Mexico who were trying to stop these cartels from overrunning the people. The cartel found out about him and tried to kill him. He lived. He became Secretary of Security for the United States government. And he ordered the finding and execution of that cartel leader. Quite a tale. All true. Dude, revenge is wild, man. People who are committed, bro, love that Count of Monte Cristo stuff, bro. Coming back at them. Amazing stuff. But that's really the only kind of cool part about this whole thing. I hope everyone stays safe, and anybody who's thinking about going to Mexico, maybe pause for a little bit. I got people who are there. I got friends who are in Mexico now, so they're staying in their hotels trying to get the hell out of there. Crazy stuff. But I hope it ends with less bloodshed and people just let out their emotions and we can, maybe calm down a bit. But it's crazy out there. But that little tale of revenge, my goodness, man. Wild stuff. Wild, wild west, I'll tell you. And now, on to the best thing I saw this week. I would say this is kind of a niche thing, just because it is video game related. But I think it's educational related, and it's kind of a bit revolutionary. So a new game has been released on Steam in a demo that's, I think it's called just like Make a Server or like Data Center. I think it's called Data Center. And it's a game where it's just an empty warehouse and you have to put together and power up a server. And you have to put on all the racks and put in all the wires and then do the cabling and then do the terminal stuff to get a server up and running. A huge server in an empty warehouse. I know it sounds kind of silly and dumb, but when you look at the game and the way they gamify it, it's kind of amazing. Just because it's like you can learn how to build a server. And I guess there are like all these jobs that are needed for this AI stuff, for people who know how to rack and put in servers and like update servers and get them up and running. And this game sort of teaches you how to do it in like a fun sort of gamifying way, like an educational entertainment thing. I thought it was really cool. I'm going to play it. I want to become hey, if data center guys are making big buco, I want to be part of that big buco. And I think that gamifying something that's kind of a normal humdrum skill, I think is a great idea. And I think if you do that and 12-year-olds could do it, then I feel I could do it. And then I'll be a server data master. In any case, it was one of the best things I saw this week. And you should try it. It's in demo version. I think the full game's coming out 26. And that way we could all be data server network administrator masters. Anyway, until next week, this has been so much fun. I'm glad you made it this far. I had a good time. It was a little bit of a negative, but I feel like we put it up to try and find positive things in some of this negative stuff. I feel happy about the gold medals and about growing safety. And hopefully everything works out. Many blessings for health, wealth, and good fortune to all of you. Thank you for watching. My name is Jason Delgado. This has been the What is Good podcast. Like, subscribe, comment. What was the best thing you saw this week? And I'll see you on the next one.